Welcome, everyone, to the new cohort of Embodied. This is our first call, our welcome call. I'm so excited to have you on. I see more people are joining. Thank you for coming live. It will be recorded as well if you need to leave at some point, or for those of us who are not here today. So we have a lot to go through today. I want to give you like the lay of the land, how this course works, how we move through this process. We're going to do a little bit of an introduction of the fertility awareness method, which you're here to learn about, and just a few things to know as we get started. And then we are going to, I think that's it. I'll show you a tour of the portal as well, because just to see what's going on there. And I don't know, some of you have already logged in and seen the videos available to you. It's okay if you didn't watch it yet. I usually will release content every Monday. So yesterday you got access to the introduction and the welcome section. This recording is going to go under the first part of the welcome section. And then every Monday, new videos will be released. And they're very short. I mean, anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes. There are an average of 5 videos per module. So each Monday you'll get a fresh batch of videos, and it's okay if you don't get to it before the live call. You watch it at your own pace. The calls are ongoing. So as the questions come in, I'll show you exactly how you can submit questions anonymously, and I'll just work through the questions. It doesn't have to be like we might be up to week 3 and still be answering a question for week 1. That's totally fine. So you just watch the modules at your own pace, and then we'll have the questions as they come, and that's how the Q&A calls will go. So let's talk about intentions. And if you feel called to share in the chat, what are your intentions for this cohort, for this round of Embodied if you're returning, for this new experience if you're new? What do you hope to gain from the space? It will just make it more real for you. It'll also give us all a feel of like what we're here for together as a group. So you can put that in the chat, and we'll just, start feeling the pulse here and get started from there. Um, Meanwhile, as you write out your intentions in the chat, I want to share something. I usually don't share it publicly. In my embodied groups and in the private containers, I'm more open about this, but I might end up sharing this recording only from this class to the rest of the email list as well, just to give them a taste of what they're missing out, because they can still register until the end of the week. We have registration open until the end of this week. So we're going to send this recording out, and usually don't share publicly like where I'm at in my cycle, but we're going to break the ice a little bit here because something really interesting happened. I am on day 1 of my cycle today, and I mean, you'll end up seeing as we go along. I mean, whatever, like don't keep track of where I'm at in my cycle. This is about you. But each week I'll be showing up from a different energy. Whatever phase I'm in, like I show up differently. So today might be more of a gentler, softer kind of feel. And maybe in 2, 3 weeks, you'll see me more like vibrant, alive, and like energetic. Each one has its own gift. And what was really interesting and what I keep being so grateful for over and over and over again is how I knew exactly when my period would come, even though I had a 34-day cycle. And that is one of the gifts because I'm going through a phase right now where I'm working on regulating my cycle. I have a 2.5-year-old who I've weaned when he was just about 2, so it's about half a year now. And it can take a little time for our cycles to regulate. And yeah, there are different self-care things that I can look at. And we do have one thing that's really powerful about teaching this work is that it's asking me to step into it and integrate it more. So I was preparing to upgrade some of the module 4 material, which is about embodied health, because I have so much more to share. That's what ends up happening every time we do this again. Like if I have more to share or I've learned more in my own experience, my own work as well, and just doing this work in a deeper way, then I'll upgrade the material. That's what you get. That's why you get to come back every time, and you'll just have a more advanced experience every time as we go, as we learn and grow from this together. But as I was updating the material for that, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna have to embody this. I am going to have to you know, work on my sleep a little because that's a challenge, and it's so normal when we have little kids that it's a challenge. But yeah, like that's for me a big thing that's going on with my own cycle now. And I'm not saying that's the only thing that's keeping it dysregular. Like I said, it's the season of life, the stage of life, coming out of postpartum back to regular cycles is a transition. And yeah, but it's the coolest thing ever to know exactly when you'll get your period even if you don't have regular cycles, even if you don't have, on the months exactly, it's such freedom. It's such embodiment. Like we know ourselves so well. So I felt called to share that because this is real life and I bring myself to this space a lot. So might as well get right into it from the beginning. When I read some of your intentions, they're beautiful as they're coming in. So someone saying, my intention is to learn to understand my cycle and how it works. Beautiful. Currently postpartum, nursing full-time, tracking already for the last few weeks. So far, still dry. Intention is TTA, trying to avoid. Okay. My intention is to step into my feminine power. Okay. As someone who teaches related topics to women, I want to have this knowledge as a critical supplement to my work. I'm also super excited to learn how to better connect with my own cycle. I love this part. I love when professionals or other women who work with other women in the space are getting both. Like it's the only way we give over this work is when we actually integrate it ourselves. So you are here for your own experience, and then automatically, it will transform your work as well. Like I see this over and over again. Why would you start a class on day one? Excellent question. So over a 7 week course, invariably there will be a class when I'm on my period, right? Unless I skip that week, which I can. But I decided to um, be like to schedule this way. First of all, because I wanted to have the full 7 weeks before the summer. So that's how it came out with a date wise. That sometimes I do have to work with a schedule of the calendar over my own schedule, over my own calendar, which I usually try to integrate and incorporate both. But the gift of being in tune with my cycle is to align my life around that. So if I know I'm scheduling a class for day one, then there are other ways I care for myself and support myself to show up in the best way possible. So yeah, but I appreciate that question. To feel that my body is on the team as me, it's on the same team as me, I'm guessing, and not working against me, and to get to know myself in a deeper way. Yes, I love these. These are so aligned, and you are so in the right place. And again, a very warm welcome. I'm so excited to have you on this journey. So let me go into a brief introduction on the fertility awareness method. Some of you are already familiar, some of you have been tracking a little bit and just want to get a deeper understanding and embodiment of this. And then I'll tell you what is the embodied fertility awareness method, because there's a fertility awareness method that's out there, and there's the way I hold this and the way I teach it, which is embodied. It's very different than just knowledge, just reading information in a book, just learning a list of rules to follow. That's not what this is. So the fertility awareness method is a way to understand our cycle, our patterns, how we move through different stages of the cycle, when we're fertile, when we're not. And you'll see a lot more in the video, so I'm not going to go through it in detail, but just a brief overview. We have around actually, according to the fertility cycle is really divided into three phases. We have the early infertile days, the early infertile phase, which is before our fertile window opens, from our period until the fertile window opens. And then we have the fertile wave, which is from when our fertile window opens. And we'll learn a lot about that, what that means, when does our fertile window open, until our fertile window closes. And that's the real bulk of this method, to learn when that is. When does our fertile window open? When does our fertile window close? And then the third and last phase is the infertile phase, which is more definite than the early infertile phase. And we'll talk about the difference between what's my fertility like before my fertile window opens versus after my fertile window closes. And this is going to be very relevant to those of you who are postpartum and nursing and maybe not getting your cycle back yet. You have a long, extended early infertile phase, right? Your fertile window didn't open yet. In a regular cycle, it might not be as relevant because most of us in a regular monthly cycle are still before mikvah in that early infertile stage. So it's not as applicable, but in postpartum or longer regular cycles, that is a big one. So we're going to learn about the difference of what's the early infertile phase, what's the more definite infertile phase after ovulation is confirmed, because then we're more sure about where we are. We're not nervous that things can change at any moment, because once we confirm ovulation, once we know ovulation happened, it doesn't happen again until the next cycle, as opposed to in the beginning when we might still not be fertile yet, but it can open at any minute, right? Fertility can begin at any minute. That's why the early infertile phase has a different status than the luteal phase, which is the time between ovulation and our next period, which is more clearly infertile, because once we ovulate and we confirm that through our charts, through this method, and we'll go through exactly how that works, that's really more like the safe zone. If you're trying to prevent pregnancy, if you're trying to avoid, that is a time when you get like sort of that, freedom to go unprotected without worrying about a risk of pregnancy. Now, there are rules, there are guidelines to follow to do this, quote, correctly, even though I don't believe in perfection, I believe in humanness. And I think this is a big fear that people have, that I can't do this method because it just takes a lot and I'm not going to be perfect at it. We're not perfect. We're human. And this works for humans. This has been proven to be up to 99%, 99.6% effective for humans, right? This wasn't tested on robots. It was tested on humans, on women who have been doing this. So we don't have to be so hard on ourselves. And we also can be empowered to know, okay, I have the information, I have the knowledge, I know what's out there, I know what this information is about, I know what my body's telling me. And then there's also choices and decisions that we get to make based on that knowledge. And that's why the first thing I want to tell you is before we start this method, it's very important, and we spoke about intentions, a little twist to that, it's very important to know what your fertility intentions are. And I've spoken about this already in the past a few times. Maybe you've heard me talk about this. It's not black and white to say either I want to prevent pregnancy or I don't want to prevent pregnancy. I know that's the illusion that's put out there that we have control. We don't. But our intentions are the closest thing we have to control, because if we are very intentional and we know what our goals are and we do our part to work towards that, that's where we start. So if your intention is absolutely no way I can get pregnant right now, whether it's for health, whether it's for your life is not in a good place for that right now, whether you just want to wait a little bit, whatever the case is, you are all the way in the bottom. 0, 1 is where we count trying to avoid. You're totally at the bottom of the fertility intention scale. No way can you risk pregnancy right now. That is not something that's on the table. So you put yourself at a 0 or 1. Now, a 10 would be, I want to get pregnant yesterday, right? If someone is really, really trying to get pregnant, trying to conceive, that would be the opposite end of the spectrum. So fertility is not about, this is the misconception out there. Fertility itself, the word fertility is not about getting pregnant, right? We all go through cycles and stages of fertility and infertility, right? There's the rhythm method is a method of it's like one of the first early versions of the fertility awareness method. It's not as accurate as what we're going to learn here, but the paper that was written for that, like the studies that was written for that, is called the rhythm of sterility and fertility in women, right? Sterility is when we're not fertile, and fertility is when we are. We all go through that cycle. We have about 5 to 7 days every cycle where we are fertile, where we do have the potential to get pregnant, and the rest of the cycle, we don't, right? And that's who we are as women. We go through different stages, we go through different phases, we go through different ways of being. And if you're not in a stage to get pregnant, it's still something that's offering you so much, because fertility is our life force. Fertility is our vitality. It's our first vital sign. It tells us about our health. It tells us about our overall balance in life. It tells us about our physical, emotional, spiritual, mental well-being. It tells us so much, and we'll get into all of that. So when you're on the lower end of the spectrum, so fertility is a spectrum, right? It's not about getting pregnant. It's about what are my intentions around fertility. We all have an experience around fertility. We are all experiencing, if you're experiencing cycles, you're experiencing fertility, and then what are your intentions around that? Do you want to optimize that and get pregnant? Do you want to have that knowledge to help you prevent pregnancy, right? You get choices around that knowledge. So if you're on the lower end of the spectrum, 0, 1, no, cannot get pregnant right now. We call that TTA, like someone mentioned in the chat, trying to avoid. If you're on the other end of the spectrum, wanting to get pregnant as soon as possible, that's TTC, trying to conceive, which I don't love that term. I prefer to say opening to conceive because, okay, there's so much around that. We'll get to that in module 5. Um, but the between 0 to 10, there's a big spectrum, right? It's not necessarily one or the other. You might be at a 3. What does that mean? Oh, yeah, I'm trying to avoid, but right, it's not the same definite as 0, 1. Or if you're a 4, right, there may be more leeway for a little bit more risk than somebody that's a 0 might be comfortable taking. And the reason I'm telling you that right from the start is because as we learn the fertility awareness method, you'll hear different rules, you'll hear different guidelines. And most of them are very doable and very practical. And we go through exactly how this works in your lifestyle without being too overwhelming. That's my goal. My goal is this should not be overwhelming. This should not be stressful. This should be embodied and integrated and become your routine and habit, like second nature. Just like you brush your teeth in the morning and you have your morning routine and you have your day routine and you have your evening, whatever it is, whatever your day looks like, this gets incorporated in your daily schedule and you don't think twice about it. Right? You think about it because you're connecting to your body. That's the point, but it doesn't become this overwhelming thing in the beginning. Just like any life skill, right? Any life skill we learn, it can be overwhelming in the beginning, but as we practice and as we get better at it, that's the point, that it does get more integrated. So when we come across a rule or a guideline that maybe feels like a lot, you can look at that and be, what are my intentions? If, for example, I'm a 4 and I see that I need to wait 4 days post peak, which the peak day is our day of the most cervical fluid, that is our most fertile day. And then we count 4 days after that to make sure it's drying up to help us confirm ovulation. And what if you say, you know what, by the third day, I feel comfortable going unprotected? That's a risk according to the method, but not that much of a risk. And you'll see as we talk about it, as I teach this material, I teach you exactly where these rules come from. They're not just blown out of thin air, right? There's a reason and rhyme behind all of that. It's based on the studies, based on the techniques, based on what works. And when you understand that, you can also apply it in your own life. Like, oh, if I'm a 4, maybe this works differently for me. Or if I'm a 1, like, I'm not taking a risk, right? So the intentions are so important to know from the outset. And also your intentions may shift, right? You might be a 1 now, or maybe a 3 in a few months from now. Or maybe you want to conceive in a few months from now, but right now you don't. So maybe that does put you at a 3 or a 4, because you're like, I want to get pregnant in a few months, but if it happens now, okay, like whatever. Or you're like, no way, this has to be very, very effective. So I get a lot of questions like that. Is this going to be really, really effective if I cannot get pregnant right now? The answer is yes. Another question, and then I get from other people like, oh, I think this is a good time for me to start this because I want to try getting pregnant in a few months, but I want to get to know my cycle. Beautiful. Both of these can hold the fertility awareness method. Really, the key is your intentions and how you show up for this method, how you integrate this into your own life. That's where your power lives. That's where your power lies. How to apply this. Okay, so I give you the knowledge, the information, the encouragement, the support, how to apply this in your life, and then how you take it in, how you integrate it, how you apply it. That will be where the results come from. So let's talk about embodied fertility awareness, because yes, there are the rules, there are the things to apply, but what is the embodiment piece here? And I think some people have this conception that it's just a nice way of presenting this, like, oh, beautiful, you're talking about the cycle and how we move through different phases and how the embodiment is such a big piece of it. But like, really, really, I just want to learn the method. Like, let me just learn the method, the basics. Like, don't give me all this fluff, right? That's what it can sound like. And I want to tell you something. It's not just fluff. It's not just a nice way of presenting it. It actually makes it more effective. There's a reason I teach it this way. The reason I teach this method this way is because I don't want it to be overwhelming. I don't want it to be stressful, and I want it to be effective. And this is the way to do it when we do it in an embodied way. When we do it not just from a pressuring, stressful mental place of like, I have to be on top of this. I have to memorize everything. I have to do everything perfectly, right? That's stressful. That's overwhelming. Of course, we want to like understand it and internalize as much as possible, but that's what happens in our body as we begin practicing this. And that's why it does take like an average of 3 months, I would say, to really practice this method in a way that makes it very effective for you. So in those 3 months, we're going to go through soon like what you need to get started. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is what you can do in those 3 months to have protection if you are looking to avoid pregnancy and want to make sure you're protected in those 3 months, because it does take time. The idea of this method is it's up to 99.6% effective, but it has a few, like there are stipulations to that. What makes it effective, right? It's not just an IUD that you place into your body and you're good to go, right? There are ways that this works, that this applies. So for example, having the right support, the right community. That's why the Embodied is set up with a community aspect to it, with a support to really help you not feel alone around this, right? You have the support, you have the feedback, you have the guidance that you need to make this effective for you. The right education, right? Presenting it the right way, learning it the right way. That's why I put so much work into this, that it should be the exact curriculum, the exact build up of information in a way that is not too overwhelming, but in a way that really, really builds on itself, that you learn in a way that's beautiful and integrated and also really teaches you the right way properly. And another piece is to combine. Okay, so we have the knowledge, and I spoke about this if you were in the Way of Women masterclass, which by the way, if you're in embodied, which you are, if you're here live, you have access to that as well. It's in your account when you log in. I'll show you exactly soon how to log into your account. You should see the Way of Women there as well. And we were talking about hold on, my period brain, I'm blanking out. What we were just talking about. Oh, yeah, we're talking about Chachma, Bina, and Das. So Chachma is knowledge, that's masculine. Bina is understanding, intuitive knowing, intuition, that's feminine. Das is the real knowledge, the real intimate knowledge, right? Das is intimacy. Why? Because it's knowing ourselves intimately. That's what this knowledge is. That's what fertility awareness is. That's what this embodiment is. We get to know ourselves so intimately. We get to know ourselves on such a deep level because we're integrating both. We're learning about ourselves. We're learning about how this all works. We need that. We need the chachma. We need the knowledge. But we're also integrating it with our intuitive feminine wisdom and knowing. And that's why it's not just about memorizing. I don't need you to memorize knowledge. That's why I give you lifetime access. Let you come back and really rewatch this video as much as you need, have the information accessible. And one of the biggest points of that is I want you to relax into this. I don't want you to feel pressured. Oh, I only have X amount of months to watch this, and this is the only time I'll be in this course, and I need to take everything in. No, receive it in a relaxed way. Whatever comes to you now comes to you now. Whatever becomes deeper and more integrated next time will become deeper and integrated more next time. This is a process, and you'll get exactly what you need in this round. And if it's your first time, then yes, focus on the practical. Focus on what do you need right now to get started? How can you get started in this? And actually start practicing it, because the embodiment, actually doing it in real time in your own body, will be the learning process, right? Knowledge is one thing. Practice is really where it comes home into your body. So the real way of doing fertility awareness is, yes, having the knowledge and applying it. And also, what's my relationship with my body? What is my relationship with my body? Can I trust her? Do I know her? Can I listen to what she's saying? And maybe you're coming into this, nope, not at all. Maybe you already have some layers to this. This is just going to make it deeper. Because when we get to understand our cycle is in constant communication with us, the cervical fluid, the temperature, the different symptoms we might feel around our cycle, it's telling us something. There's always communication going on. Do we know how to listen? Do we know how to interpret, right? We're learning a new language. And that's what body literacy literally means. We're learning the language of our bodies, and fertility awareness helps us interpret that. And as we come into that knowledge, as we come into that, not just knowing how the cycle works scientifically, but also learning our own body and how to communicate with her and know what she's telling us all the time. That's the daily wisdom. That's the daily integration, the daily practice of this. So we incorporate both. And that's what embodied fertility awareness really is. It's not just give me knowledge and I'll apply it, right? So many people get overwhelmed by that. It's how do I actually bring this home into my body? So that's what I offer here. I want to talk about the pacing of this course. Okay, like I said, you don't need to take it all in at once. That's why you get to come back. I give you a lot here. And the reason I do this is because I believe in full empowered knowledge. I don't want to cut corners. I know there are other teachers out there who teach this separately. Like first you'll learn a basic FEM, like how this works. And then if you want to learn about postpartum, it's another course. And if you want to learn about supporting your fertility and hormonal health or whatever, like each thing is separate. And I get it, right? Like not everyone wants to do everything at once. But I want you to have available at least everything, right? Even if you can't watch everything at one point, in one round, that's why you get to come back. I want to know that I gave you everything you needed. Like I want to know that we have the foundation, right? The foundation is the most important part. And really the main bulk of this is in the first three modules. The first three modules are a little bit heavier in content. It's a little bit more, that's really where you're setting up the foundation of coming home to your body, coming home to this knowledge, coming home to this wisdom, understanding how the fertility awareness method works, understanding how your body works. And after that, it does get a little bit lighter. So if you feel like by module 3, 4, like, whoa, this is a lot, know that that's the end of it. It does get lighter after that. And yeah, the reason I do that is because once you have the foundation, everything else comes naturally from there. If you are really clear on the foundation of this method and the foundation of how your body works, then it's really simple from there to apply this in postpartum, right? That's module 5. Trying to conceive is also a little bit in module 5. To understand your hormonal health is in module 4. Natural birth control is in module 3, right? So the first two modules, 1 and 2, is understanding your body, understanding how this method works. And then from there, it's different situations applying it in different ways. Natural birth control, natural conception, hormonal health, how to bring this into our everyday life. Then we have a module for embodied practice as well, where you get real-time charts, because this is a skill that needs practice. So maybe you don't have enough information yet to chart from your own cycles if you're just starting out, but having those practice charts, and there are video guides to teach you exactly how to do that, that will help you just practice the skill more, because the more we practice, the more skilled we become. So I want to go through a couple misconceptions that people have about FAM. So we mentioned a few of them already. Like, for example, it's only for people with irregular cycles. That's not true. That it's only for, and this can go both ways. It used to be that it would be people who think it's only for fertility or getting pregnant because the word fertility was in there. Obviously, it can be used to prevent pregnancy as well, to understand our hormonal health. And then now it's the flip side. It now became so popular as a natural birth control option that people think it's only for that. No, it's also for people who are struggling to get pregnant. And like don't know what's going on. Like it's like unexplained infertility is actually one of the things that what does it actually mean? That the we haven't like found a reason for it yet medically, right? So when you come into your own body and you know what's going on for yourself, it's beautiful. It's amazing that we have all this knowledge and all this wisdom. Like I said, the chachma, right? Like how our body works, how fertility works, great. But what is your body telling you, right? If we look at fertility as a response to what's going on in our body, what's going on in our life, what is it telling us, right? And there are different things that we can pick up from our chart and from this embodied intuitive wisdom that we're honing in on. Um, and yeah, and besides for all that, it's not just about natural birth control or getting pregnant or understanding hormonal health. It's a deeper connection to ourselves. It's a somatic practice. When we what's the key to embodiment? The idea is that when we're connected to ourselves, we become more grounded. We become more I'm trying to find the right way to describe this, but basically we can be very overwhelmed by life, right? There's a lot. We have so much on our plate as women. We're juggling a lot, and we need that grounding. We need that center. And our cycle really can be that. Our cycle can be our center for it, our center, our place to come home to within ourselves. And when we check in with our body every single day, just a few minutes a day, by the way, this method does not take more than 2, 3 minutes a day. But you have those 2, 3 minutes to check in with yourself, check in with your cycle. Oh, how are we doing today? Oh, which phase are we in? Am I fertile? Am I not? Oh, there's cervical fluid. Oh, my period is coming. Whatever is going on, right? It's just that checking in, just being in that flow, in that rhythm. That's all you need, 2, 3 minutes a day. And it changes everything. You are in a much more embodied flow state as a woman when you're in touch with this. So a few things to bear in mind as we learn and start practicing the fertility awareness method. So like I said, there is a learning curve. Okay, it does take about 3 months. And again, it's very individual. So I'm just putting out the number 3 months as an average. Some people it takes quicker, some people need a little more time, whatever it is. You'll have to know when you are comfortable trusting this, when you feel like, okay, I know I got this. Like I practiced, I see what's going on. I see when I confirm ovulation. You know, every single time we confirm ovulation, I call it a deposit into our confidence box. Like, oh, this works. I don't just learn about it. I didn't just see that it probably works and like it makes sense. Like I actually see it in my body. This is what I'm talking about, the embodied experience. It's a whole different experience when our body confirms this for us, right? Knowledge and wisdom out there is great, but we need to bring it into ourselves for it to be real. So every time we confirm ovulation, it's another deposit into our confidence box. And then we do it again and again. And after 3 times, it's like, oh yeah, I confirmed ovulation. I know my period is coming in 2 weeks. Like that's what's been happening the last 2 months. Like that feels pretty sure to me right now, right? That feels like something I can work with. Like I see that my period came, I ovulated, I had a good cycle. Like what should be different now? I mean, obviously we're never predicting anything, but once we confirm ovulation, that's our sign that yes, your period will come in about 2 weeks, 12 to 16 days. We'll talk about that more. But confirming your ovulation, closing your fertile window puts you into that state of the luteal phase, the infertility phase of the cycle. Like, oh, I know when I say infertility, it has like a bad ring to it, but that's what I'm telling you. Can we reframe the words fertility and infertility not to have that charge of like, oh, we have these parts of our cycle. Like that's just what it is, right? So once you confirm ovulation and you do this over and over again, it becomes more embodied, it becomes more integrated, and you start trusting your body. You start integrating this in a way that, yes, this makes sense. Yes, I can trust this. Yes, I can rely on this. This feels comfortable to me. And then it comes to a point where you're like, okay, I can trust this. I can go and protect it. And it doesn't happen overnight. Everyone has their own process around this. Some people take more time to learn to trust this and to really feel comfortable. There's no, right? Like I can't tell you what the right time for you is, but this knowledge will get you there. So let's talk about some backup options because as you learn this for the next 3 months and also in your fertile window, right? If you want to have a backup option to, yes, use protection that works alongside FAM if you're doing this to prevent pregnancy, right? So we're going to talk about this a lot more in module 3 as well. What are the fertile window birth control options? But I'll give you a little bit of a overview. And I also want to tell you something very clearly, which I, of course, talk about in module 3 as well. None of what I'm sharing is halachic advice, right? I'm giving you from a purely scientific perspective what the options available are that work with this method, because that's my role as a fertility awareness educator to tell you what works with this method, right? Hormonal birth control won't work with this method because it's shutting down your cycle, so you're not tracking an actual ovulation pattern. You're not even ovulating on many forms of hormonal birth control, right? So that's not going to work together with it. It doesn't mean you should get off your pill right now. It doesn't mean you should take out your IUD right now. It means that as you learn this knowledge, you'll come to your own process around this of when it's the right time for you, when you feel equipped and feel like you have the knowledge and information to really put this into practice, that you'll feel ready, right? And you get to come back. So if it's not this round, maybe it will be the next round, but you'll already have the information. You'll know what your plan is. But in terms of what backup options are compatible with the fertility awareness methods, so most barrier methods, most non-hormonal methods will be compatible. So first of all, if you have a copper IUD, then you can start practicing already while you're still on that before you even take it out, because it's not shutting down your ovulation. So you are still likely ovulating on your copper IUD. It might be like maybe changing some things for you hormonally, like your hormones might be responding in different ways. But in terms of tracking your cervical fluid, checking your temperature, like you can already start practicing that and seeing patterns. Okay, so no pressure to take that out. You can start practicing, and then you'll see yourself after a few months, you'll become embodied with this wisdom, and you'll be like, oh, I think I can take it out. Like, I feel like I can trust this, right? That will be your process. In terms of the other options, so those are most of the on-demand methods like diaphragms, spermicides, Phexi, um, and then there, of course, the more halachically questionable ones like condoms and withdrawal. I'm only mentioning that not because I endorse it, but because I want to tell you everything that's compatible scientifically, practically with the fertility awareness method. And also, everything can always be a question to ask if there are certain extenuating circumstances where it might be a question to ask. So I'm just putting that out there. Now, let's discuss. So knowing these options can put you in a position that if you do want to have a deeper conversation with your Rav about what's halachically compatible for you, right? That's not my role. That's for you to bring to your Rav. But when we have the right information, when we are empowered with this knowledge, the way we ask the question, the way we bring this to our halachic advisors makes all the difference, because we are empowered with the knowledge. We know what we're actually asking, and we can get a clearer response based on what we're asking. So that's why knowing this knowledge will put you in a much better position to ask this question in a much clearer way as well. Okay, so as we move through this process, I really want you to use the support that we're here to provide. Okay, the beginning is the hardest. Like I said, it's the learning curve, and it does get easier. Like any important life skill, it will become second nature. And the more experienced members are here to tell you all about that on the chat. So whenever you need support, don't hesitate to reach out. You are not alone. We are here to support you. We have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful community of women on the WhatsApp group. If you're not on WhatsApp, it's okay. You're not missing the full course experience. It's optional. But if you are on that, it's a beautiful, valuable resource for you to make use of. Other ways to use the support in this course is the Q&A, which we'll have every week. We'll have a Q&A call, just like now, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. for this round at least. That it looks like that's what will become the set time over the future cohorts as well. But of course, things can change. But for this cohort, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. We are skipping May 21. So just so you know, you can put that in your calendar. And our seventh call will be on June 18th. So from now to June 18th is 8 weeks. But since we're skipping May 21, we'll have June 18th. And it's totally fine, because we'll be catching up. Like, I don't know how many questions will come in, but if we do need bonus calls, don't worry. We'll make bonus calls, because I want to get to all your questions. So June 18th right now is the seventh call that's scheduled. If we do need to schedule another call, we'll, be in touch about that and see when that will happen, if we need to make that happen. Okay, so let's go into the format of how I teach this. So like I said, we have a new module that's released every Monday, and that's the content. The content is pre-recorded for you to watch at your own pace. It's there, it's all set. That's what you always have access to. That's what you get to come back to. The way it's divided, it's in short videos that you divided by topics. So let's say you want to just clarify, wait a second, what am I supposed to do let's say you want to do cervix checks, which is an optional sign of this method. And we'll talk about that. You don't need to do it, but sometimes it can be helpful if other things are being a little, questionable, and you want more clarity. You might want to implement cervix checks. And you're like, wait a minute, how do I do cervix checks again? All you have to do is go to module 2. Sorry, you have to go to module 2, which is where we talk about the signs of our body and how we track the different fertile signs, and look at the video called cervix checks. And that's where you get your full information. You don't have to go through hours and hours of content and see, wait, which class did we learn this, right? Like I used to, the first year I did this course, by the way, it was all taught live. So that was like literally, if someone wanted to go back to something, they had to go through like hours and hours of content, right? And we weren't sure where it was. Here you'll have the short videos that are always accessible to you. It's like a library of information available to you. So yeah, someone's asking, will you learn on the we're we're learning on our own and Zoom is for questions. Yes, so the content is there for you to learn at your own pace. You'd be surprised how much information is going to come through on the Q&A call because that's really where the course becomes alive. So the pre-recorded content is set, it's there for you. That's the knowledge that's fixed, right? It doesn't move. It's like, okay, this is I record it for a reason because I know this can stay and this is the knowledge that I'm comfortable having over and over again. But the Q&A calls are guided by you, by what you're curious to learn more about, what you have questions about. And the conversations become so deep and layered and exciting. It's like, who, what's going to come in today? Like, where are we going today? We have so many different like directions and nuances throughout these conversations that we address that I mean, people learn so much. I don't know if more through the Q&A than through regular content, but it's a whole vibe. It's a whole setup. Like it's an angle of the experience for sure that you get to make the content deeper, right? If you would just watch the content, you will not get the full experience. I mean, you're learning, it's nice, but that's where you get to make it real and bring it here with your questions, make it more real life. We discuss so much more than it would be possible to just teach as content originally. Um, okay, so let's talk about the WhatsApp group. That's your shared space as a community. It's a beautiful, respectful place. That's because it's made up of beautiful, respectful women. But here are some guidelines to keep the group as safe as possible for everyone. So, first of all, confidentiality, right? Never share or forward anything outside the chat. Whatever is shared here is meant to be contained in the space. And just like you are here to have a safe experience, so is everyone else. So we are relying on each other's respect and confidentiality. And also, don't message other members privately without their permission. And that includes me, right? We're all in the group. We're all here to share the group space. If you do want to ask someone a question or you have a follow up or something, then you can totally ask in the chat. Is it okay if I private message you or stuff, something like that? But just to protect everyone's privacy, we don't want to, go out of those boundaries. And no promoting, advertising without approval first. We want to keep this focused as a supportive, sacred space. So again, if something is related and you want to share with me, run it by me first. I have no issue with that, no problem. Like I would love to have more resources available for everyone, as long as it's relevant to this work, and it will enhance our experience together and not take away from it. Okay, so also one more thing I just want to say, if you do feel like you can use some extra support, we do have a VIP upgrade available, right? Most of you have seen that. And that will give you, we have two options actually. It will either give you 2 months of one-on-one support with me, or it will give you 4 months of one-on-one support with Panina, who's here and I'm excited to introduce her soon, is going to be supporting this work as well. She's also a fertility awareness instructor and has trained in this work and is supporting us this season. And I'm really excited to see where this will go. So that will be your option to gain extra support in this experience as well. So with that, we will go on a little tour. Okay, let me show you the website. And I'm really excited because it was recently redone. And yeah, I can't wait to share it with you. So let me just share my screen. Someone's asking me how many people are on the WhatsApp, how busy is it? So like I said, it does grow over time. So you can always mute it or archive it if it gets too busy for you. You don't have to have it like on all the time, but it's there as a resource for you. So it really depends, when people are active. It's no way to know for sure like when it'll be more busy than others. But it's all the members together. So it's a growing space for sure. I mean, whoever has WhatsApp, we're not all on there, but okay. So let me share this with you. Where is that share screen? Here we go. Okay. Here's the beautiful new website. So you see this little button here, that's your login. So whenever you're always going to get a link on the emails when I share the replays or different information, I'm always going to share the login link, how you can log in directly. But if you're not sure, if you don't remember, you can always just go to the website, reclaimwomanhood.com, and you'll have the login button right here. So you can always just go in there and have your login. And here we have the embodied course right here. Your product. Okay, so this is your beautiful space to learn. Okay, so here we have all the modules. So you see it where it says coming soon. It means it wasn't released yet. It's going to be released every Monday, a new module, and you'll get an email notification every time you have new content available. So all the modules will be released. And right now you do have available the welcome section, the introduction, and the resources. So let me walk you through that. And I think I'm going to take you, give me a second. Let me just share the screen. I'm going to take you to the admin side of things so that I can share the other parts that aren't available to you as well. So you see what's going on. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, so this is the same thing that you saw before. You're just going to see more. You'll also see the modules that are not released yet because it's on the admin side. So here's your course. And you see here it's open. It doesn't say coming soon because yeah, so let me share with you. So here you have, first you have the modules and you can click into each one. So let's say you want to go into the welcome, which is available to you already, right? So each one, these are not all videos, by the way. Each one are lessons. So most of the lessons will be videos, like in the coming modules. But for the introduction, you have important information. For example, the Zoom link for the live calls, right? So when you go in to this link, you'll be able to find the Zoom link, which you'll also get an email reminder every time, an hour before the call. So don't worry about it. But if you don't see it for some reason, or if you're not sure where to go, it's always here for you. Then there's also the Q&A submission form, which when you click into that, this is where you'll have the link to submit your questions. You just click here, right? And that's what you'll get. So this is where you'll be able to put your question, right? You can put you can click which module it is, the question that you have regarding which content that you watched, or if you have other, just a general question, you can put that as well. And I do want to know if this is your first time or if you're returning, because it just makes a difference to see how long you're doing this already, and depending on, you know, what your question is. So yeah, this is where, and I don't see who it is, right? Not shared. I don't see who you are. It's purely anonymous. So that's the safety there as well. I'm just gonna go back. Okay, so I wrote here that it's opening on May 1, but I believe it's already open now as well. So if you've watched the introduction and you'll have questions, you can already get started with that. And we'll start answering questions in our next call next week, Wednesday, our first Q&A call. Let me go back and tell you what else is here. So here you have the Embodied guidebook. I don't believe it's here yet. We're still working on it. Yeah, it's coming very soon, but this is where you'll find it, the full guidebook if you want to print it out. You'll also have each section available in each module. So for example, in the introduction, you have all the way in the bottom, you'll have the guidebook section for that module. So here's the guidebook, the introduction piece to it. And you can always click into it and print it out. Oh, it's right here. Oh, so on the computer, it's on the side. If you're logging in on a phone, it's going to be all the way in the bottom. That's why I'm scrolling down. By the way, there is an app if you want to watch this content on your phone and you want to do it in an easy way. There's a Kajabi app that you can download and log in the same way. I think you have to put in the website, like Reclaim Womanhood or something like that. And then once you find it, you can put in your email and your login. The way to get your login is you should have gotten an email granting you access to the course to help you set up your password. If you don't find it, you can just click the login button from the website or any of the login links I sent you and click forgot password, right? I'll just, let me see if I can show that to you again. Right, let's say if I logged in here and I don't know my login, I can click forgot password here and it'll just ask me to put in my email and then it will send me an email with the information, okay? So back to this. That's in the introduction, you already have some videos, right? We have what is fertility awareness, and you have timestamps. So you can see, like, if you're ready to commit 19 minutes to watch this video right now, Those are like the longest ones. 21 is like the longest one here. But plenty of them are shorter. We have 11 minutes, we have 7 minutes, we have one that's even just 4 minutes, just giving you a basic overview of the topic. And the point of the introduction is to give you an overview of what to expect. And then with each module, we're diving deep into, for example, let's say you have here an overview of famous contraception, but module 3 is going to dive deep into that topic, right? So we have different, just different on an intro level to get you started. Okay, I think that's it for the course. I'm just going to check if there was anything else that I wanted to share on that. Okay, so if you do have a question, you could put it in the chat. And I showed you the Q&A form. I showed you the course portal, told you about the WhatsApp group, told you about the Q&A calls. Just trying to run down to see if I forgot anything. I think we're good. How long is each live class? Okay, so here's the thing. That's the reason I didn't put an exact time, because I start with an hour, but if I see there's a lot of questions, then it might get a little bit extended. And you don't have to, like, you can come and go. The Q&A calls are really very casual. Like, you can be doing things around your house. You can be just listening, like as if you're listening to a podcast. Like, it's really just a casual conversation. Like, we're just talking about real topics that are important to all of us. Yes, all the Zoom calls are recorded. So if you need to like just hop on a little bit, log off later, you can catch it. If you can't make it for the whole thing, you can absolutely catch the whole thing. I really like the how it's just very flexible. Like, you can just come on and maybe that's exactly what you need to hear in that moment, like exactly the topic we're talking about. And then maybe you need to go, maybe you have a half hour. Like, you can really give whatever you have and enjoy that experience and have the live experience, because there's really something about showing up live. There's a certain energy to it, but absolutely everything's recorded and you're not missing out from the full course experience if you can't make it. Because I know it's hard to like find a time that works for everyone. We have different time zones, different schedules. So 11 a.m. Wednesdays works. Works for me, it works for a lot of people, but if it doesn't work for you, then don't worry. You're not missing out on the course experience and you're getting lifetime access. So maybe next year it will work for you. Maybe your schedule will change, maybe our schedule will change, right? Like, nothing is set in stone, but you'll have access available. So that's the beauty of it. I think we went through all the questions. Um, Panina is saying welcome in the chat. So excited to have you. We also, Etty's not here, but I want to just like thank Etty as well, because she's putting together so much of this. She's putting together the guidebook. She put together so much of the work for this course. I cannot do it alone. Like, if you think this is a one-woman show, one thing I want to model for you is that we can receive help. It was so hard for me in the beginning because like I want to do everything myself. But as soon as I allowed myself to open the space, and we are a team now, which is so exciting, it just opens the possibilities so much more. It opens so much more of what we're able to provide for you, what we're able to offer here. And we can still be human and women as we're doing this work, because we're not meant to do it all. Definitely not. We're not meant to do it all alone. We're not meant to do it all at once. So I'm really excited to have both Etty and Panina with me on Reclaim Womanhood. And we're definitely, working on a lot of this together. So I think that is it for today. It is a shorter call. I hope I didn't miss anything. But yeah, we'll be back every week. We'll be back over and over again. We'll be on the WhatsApp chat. We'll be exploring this very deeply, going into so much of this. And yeah, all your questions will be answered. This is the space to really dive into this, to really let yourself hold this wisdom, let yourself receive this. Okay. I really, if there's one intention I have for you, so you all shared your intentions in the beginning. And if there's one intention I have for you of how to navigate this course, it's with real expansiveness. Just lean back and receive. Receive this. Receive this without the pressure. If you can, I know a lot of you are here because you want to do this as natural birth control, or you want to understand your hormones, your health, things like that, for a practical perspective. But if you can put that on a shelf for 2 weeks, that's all I'm asking, for 2 weeks. Because the first 2 weeks, the content that we're going to move through in the first 2 weeks are going to be the foundation for all of that. And if you can just receive that and come to this as if you're learning this for the first time, right? maybe you didn't receive such amazing guidance as a Kala when you first learned about your body. Or if you learned about it earlier, you are lucky and amazing because many of us did not. But maybe there's that something was lacking on the way you were presented with to begin with, right? First, besides for missing a lot of information, right? There's a lot more information than many of us were taught to begin with, but also the way you were taught. Because the way I teach about the female body, the way I teach about anatomy, it's so different likely than what you've ever encountered around this. It's not like just scientific or technical. And it's also definitely not shameful. It's really bringing this home in such a beautiful, respectful way that it's real. Like you literally, that's what I'm also like calling embodiment. Like when you're really feeling like, oh, this is my womb. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. These are my ovaries. This is what they do every month. Like imagine what's going on inside there. Like there's this whole process that I never connected with. And it just brings it home in a very real way. And that's going to be the first module, actually. We're going straight into Embodied Woman, which is teaching us who we are as a woman physically. And as we learn our physical anatomy, there's so much it's teaching us about who we are as women energetically, who we are as women emotionally and spiritually, because they're all one. The way I hold this is physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. They're all one. Just different realities, different expressions of the same reality. So when we learn about, let's say, the cervix, which opens and closes throughout the month, I mentioned things about boundaries and how we can be discerning in what we allow into our space, right? Because we already have this on a cellular level. We already have things happening in our feminine body that we can express and utilize in our life as tools. Like there's so much to learn from our bodies, and that's how I hold this wisdom. So if you can come to this purely receiving, as if you're just learning this for the first time, gaining this perspective, healing maybe any old patterns that you've had, but don't focus on that. Focus on a fresh slate of blank canvas. Here I am to learn about my body. So let's do this. Module 1 is going to be released on Monday, and I can't wait for you to see that content. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. If you've already gone through the introduction, you started seeing a little bit of the style that we approach this with. And then we're going to go straight into module 2 after that, which is embodied cycles and taking this knowledge into our cycles, into what our cycle is showing us every month, what our patterns are, what our fertile signs are, really understanding it in a deep way, understanding cervical fluid. I think that cervical fluid is so underrated. This is the real fertility sign. It's easy to rely on temperatures because it's just giving us a number, it's easier to track, and it is. It is more straightforward. Cervical fluid is more nuanced. That's why we have 5 videos on cervical fluid in module 2 and just one on basal body temperature, because there's a lot more to go through. But when we actually integrate this skill, this is the embodied skill of fertility awareness, to know our patterns through our body, through the cervical fluid. Temperature is a beautiful tool to help us back that up, to help us confirm ovulation after the fact. But cervical fluid is what tells us when we're actually fertile. And it can also help us confirm as well, because we see the drying up pattern. So it works together. You'll see a lot more about this in um, module 2 and 3 as well. But I hope you get a little taste of what this content is really all about. It's not just technical, it's not just information, it's really bringing this home to yourself, to your life, to your body in such a real way. So I'm excited to get started. We'll see you next week. We'll see you in the WhatsApp group. We'll see you on the Q&A forum. And have a beautiful day and a beautiful week.